Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Bueller. It's so good to be back here. Sorry we missed you guys last week here. Seth was not feeling well, so we decided to take the week off. But we are back now, and let's bring the man in himself here, the deaf audiophile. I love that name. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes along with the theme, right? Like for tonight's effed up history.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was like I went I'll explain it all when we get to it, but I was going through trying to find lossless audio, right? Like the perfect combination between my headphones and shit. And then I get all sick, so I've got one ear that is just clogged, right? And it's still kind of clogged, and it's but I've got tinnitus going on in it, right? So just
of course,
there's this faint hum. So it's I can hear, but it sounds like I'm in a pool. But yeah, so it's my hearing right now is shot, but yeah.
That's one thing that always sucks about having colds and stuff like that. But I will say though the little small thing is you got a little bit extra gruff in your voice there, so yeah, you sound a little extra badass tonight.
Yeah, so. I feel like I could do a hard-boiled detective mystery or something. I feel like I should narrate an audio book or something with this voice right now.
The night was dark and stormy.
Yeah.
Oh man! So, basically tonight, of course, I've got some movie reviews to talk about because I took a week off of work last week and did a whole lot of nothing. It was wonderful. I mean, of course, I did some house cleaning, little stuff around the house, and some projects I want to do here and there. But I also watched a lot of movies, caught up on some streaming stuff, played a lot of Red Dead 2. So yeah, nice. Good times.
Yeah, I did see your text where you got to do a Trancers marathon.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I watched the OG, and then I watched Trancers 2, and then on Tubi apparently there was a short movie that they did in some kind of full moon compilation, and it took place between the first and the second film. So it actually had Helen Hunt back in it, reprising her role briefly, and then of course Eric's in there. So yeah, it's 20 minutes, but Tubi, it's on Tubi.
That's so.
Yeah, they separately released it. I was like, oh, sweet. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So I did a Trancers triple feature one night. So
nice. Yeah, and speaking of Tubi, don't sleep on that if you if you need an app, because that's got they put the 4K hard boiled on there. That looks amazing. I got to give shout credit on that one. I'm not a fan of their company, but I got to give credit where credit's due. It looks amazing.
Yeah. So I saw that's on there. I put it in my queue, but I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, so
it definitely you've never seen it look as good as it does.
Sweet. Oh, I can't wait. But yeah, like I said, Tubi is just so great. That's just the perfect movie lovers app because they just got so much great stuff on there.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
here's the thing with Tubi too. I would pay for Tubi with no ads because their selection is so good. But you can only get it for free, and I hate complaining that it's free. But I would pay them to get rid of the commercials. I would, yeah.
Yeah, it's come on, just let us watch it without it. Come on.
Yeah, and they're not really intrusive or anything. They're not bad. It's just maybe only 3 or 4 times during the whole movie. But still, yeah.
Something like that. So let's see here. Let's get into our comic reviews first here. Got a few of those. One from last week, and then I got a couple this week here. And then we'll get into my movie reviews. And then, of course, I've got to hear this this effed up history of sound here. And then how even Stonehenge works into all of it as well. So, yeah, very curious about all this stuff here. Can't wait. All right, so our first selection here, and this was our one from last week here, but IDW has done an Event Horizon book called Dark Descent, and it's a prequel. So this is basically Sam Neill's character that was the crazy doctor whose wife was died in a previous excursion, and he was having visions of her and finding her and whatever else. And so this is kind of the sequel, the prequel series that is the first voyage essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and Christian Ward, who's normally just a fantastic artist, so his art's very surreal and abstract, but just gorgeous stuff. But he's actually writing this series. Like, okay, all right, I didn't know he as well, but it's like I'm definitely checking that out. But yeah, his art's amazing though. Let's see a couple of Marvel selections here. I haven't talked about Avengers book in a while here, but Jed McKay's run on the current run of Avengers has been a lot of fun. It's kind of just getting a little bit back to basics, but having some big stuff going on, introducing some new bad guys, things like that. Nice classic team, even though it's Captain America is in here, but it's Sam Wilson, Captain America, not Steve Rogers. Things like that. Thor was in the team for a little bit, but he had to go do some stuff, so Storm replaced him. So one God of Thunder to another God of Thunder, basically. Because Storm's status in the Marvel universe has really stepped up the game. So it's like she's considered an Omega level mutant now, and almost like a demigod. So she's badass, as we all knew. Anyway, so this story, basically issue 29, finally. Basically, this was literally teased in the first issue where Kang the Conqueror is looking for this thing in time called the missing moment. It's something that time travelers cannot access. So it's always something that he wants to have and got to get in there. And so finally, 29 issues later, we're actually dealing with this storyline because we had a whole bunch of setup stuff that had to come before. And so, and as the cover teases here, this does dictate back to the 2015 Secret Wars. So this Grail thing, MacGuffin essentially we're looking for here, is something that Reed Richards created because if we remember the ending for the 2015 Secret Wars, when, Doom was defeated, Reed had the power and could recreate the multiverse back in his own image. He did so. But, we humans, we are flawed creatures. We put in sometimes things we don't want to. And so Reed's need for adventure, need to, strive for something. Yeah, he put this thing in here himself. So, yeah. And he didn't know he did it because it was a subconscious thing. So, but when they figured it out, we need to talk to Reed about this. And so they're like, okay, Reed, so remember that when you rebuilt the universe? Oh, whoa. What happened? Oh.
Yeah, you had a freezy moment. Am I frozen or are you frozen?
And can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah, but you're just frozen.
My screen. Okay. Hang on, let me change my camera here. My screen just all of a sudden just went blink.
Yeah, it looks to me like you got in one of those horrible freeze frame stills, like you're that, the worst moment that you can be caught still framed.
All right,
there you are.
Okay, so we're just going to have to use this camera instead here. So.
Old fashioned. You are. I cannot hear you now, though. You're muted.
All right, how about that?
There we go.
There we go. Good God. All right.
Technical difficulties, folks, but the show will go on.
Well, thank God it can go on, at least in this fashion here. So, okay. All right. So, so anyway, trying to get back to where I was saying. So, so basically, the whole cause of this MacGuffin thing, this missing moment, this thing they're looking for, Reed actually created it when he recreated the multiverse back in Secret Wars. So I've really this like this kind of build up some kind of fun. So I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one here. So
Nice.
our next one here, this is a tie-in to the current One World Under Doom storyline. And if you are not familiar with that one, it's a big event going on at Marvel right now where basically Doctor Doom saved us during the whole blood hunt when basically all the vampires, thing were going on. And Doctor Strange's body was not available. So basically a Sorcerer Supreme could not cast this certain spell to essentially end things. And so Doctor Doom steps in and is like, well, I can take care of it. You just got to make me Sorcerer Supreme. And, Strange is kind of like, okay, I can make you Sorcerer Supreme, but you got to promise to give the mantle back when he's done. It's like, yes, when I've finished saving the world, I will promise to give back this mantle. So, of course, the definition of how Doctor Doom is going to save the world post-Blood Hunt is a little different than what
I was going to say, I could hear the asterisk in that story.
Yeah, there's a definite asterisk in that. So currently, Doctor Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme, and he is kind of wreaking havoc across the Marvel universe, in control of pretty much everything. So, yay! But an interesting one shot that came in here, written by Frank Thierry, is Doomed 2099 #1.
Oh.
So yes, if you remember back in the old 2099 universe, the original version of it, we had a Doom in there that we found out was literally a future version of Doctor Doom himself. We thought it was a descendant, but it turned out it's the real deal.
Fantastic series, yeah.
Yeah, real McCoy, and it got better as it went along, especially when he essentially took over the entire world. He was actually successful doing it. It's like,
yeah,
beautiful stuff. So anywho, this is a one shot of literally the ghost of the Christmas ghost of future past coming back to say, look, I know you got this ambition of taking over the world and controlling everything, but it's not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out. You need to stop what you're doing, give the mantle back, give this up now. And of course, 2025 Doom says, nah. They fight, it doesn't quite work out. Our 2099 Doom goes back to his world, and 2025 Doom's there. And then essentially, not to spoil everything, but what we get back when 2029 Doom gets back to his world, we see why he was trying to prevent Doom from saying, hey, show a little bit of let's tone down the ego just a little bit, and but no. So yeah, we see why, and so like I said, I'm not going to spoil it completely there, but yeah, it's not a good it's not a happy place.
Okay.
So yeah, so the old universe maybe is not what it was. So our one DC selection that is not a Batman book.
I was gonna say we haven't been able to play how many Batman books this week. I think you scaled back on your Batman books now because
just there. I mean, there's been some cool stuff to talk about, but nothing like really like. I'm probably gonna have a Batman book to talk about next week because there's the new #1 coming out. So
okay.
So I'm probably gonna have. And actually, I technically had a Batman book that I would have talked about last week because the Detective Comics 1100 came out, and it was a lot of fun because it was kind of a nice celebration of Detective Comics, and so you got a lot of there was one story in there that was within current continuity, and then the rest of the other stories in there were not. So
yeah,
so that was a lot of fun. Yeah. So
man, it's super weird just to think of the idea. Like I remember when Action Comics 1000 came out. Mm-hmm. I remember when Action Comics 700 came out. Mm-hmm. And decades, man, in these issues, and now we're getting into Detective 1000, Detective 1100.
I know. Oh, and Mr. Doug is in the house here. Save us from Dr. Doom. He is forcing us to have healthcare and education. No, it's not that easy. No, it's not that easy at all. Yeah, it would be nice if Dr. Doom came in and had universal healthcare and granted. No, it's very. Well, I mean, it's essentially it's a dictator with an ego issue that's trying to control the entire world. So you figured it out. And of course, it wouldn't be a show without our boy V in the house.
Sweet.
Yeah.
From the land down under.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, brother. Oh, and V says that yeah, he thinks I did scale back.
I think so. I really do. He's like, I'm not going to let them play that stupid game. I'm just not going to show my Batman books. I got 50 of them this week, and they ain't never going to know.
I mean, I could have talked about Absolute Batman last week because it was actually really cool too. So their whole take on Bane is really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, he's still big and huge and could like rip your face off, but kind of the way they've kind of just tweaked him just a little bit, really cool. So, but still within the Absolute universe, I got to talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter #6, the finale for the first volume. Because the good news is we originally this was pitched as a second or a 6-issue series. Sorry, 6-issue series. But then they announced we are going to get a second volume, another 6 issues. So yay! But again, this is just when DC does weird stuff and they take chances, and sometimes it really lands. This is that. So,
Nice.
and also, this is the first of any of the Absolute series that ever mentioned the name Darkseid.
Ooh.
Yes, because here's the thing: if you remember, the Absolute, like in the proper DC universe, Darkseid is considered dead, but they keep finding remnants of his energy around everywhere, and he's corrupting things and doing other nasty stuff without physically being there. And that the Absolute universe is literally made of his energy. That's why everything's so downer. So, but yeah, so basically with Martian Manhunter being a very mental and cerebral character, they kind of started, the character of John Jones started kind of embracing the power a little bit more, kind of delving deeper into minds, and basically a name kept coming up, and that name is Darkseid.
The Great Darkness.
Like, oh shit! Oh! So it's like, yeah, so. And of course, coming up in October, there's the one shot called Absolute Evil, which basically is going to kind of unite all the villains throughout the Absolute universe. Some we have seen. One particular villain was teased in the first issue of Absolute Batman that we have not seen since, being the Joker, and then some other villains we have not seen yet. So,
okay.
yeah. And their version of the Joker, it's like he's the world's most wealthy man. He's kind of like the Kaiser Soze of the Absolute universe. And they call him the Joker as kind of like, basically when they called him Babyface Nelson is kind of like is a kind of a joke, but you didn't actually call him that.
Right.
Yeah, you don't call the Joker to his face because he's kind of like apparently humorless.
Okay.
So, but like I said, they teased him in the first issue of Absolute Batman, and that we have not seen him since. So it's like, can't wait. So. And V says that your impression of me was perfect.
So. Thank you.
He'll be here all week, folks.
Exactly.
And our one indie selection this week here, this was a lot of fun because the Image having the Universal Monsters brand so far had been a lot of fun because Dracula was amazing, Frankenstein was really cool, I loved The Creature Returns, but then we had a speed bump with The Mummy because The Mummy was really slow paced. The art was really good. The last issue ended up being very good, but the first 3 issues, I mean, the pacing on it was like, oh! So we needed something to kind of boost things back up. I give you The Invisible Man, #1. Written by James Tynion, art by Danny, Danny's art, she reminds me of Frank Miller in The Good Years, with a lot more definition.
Okay. Yeah. I can kind of see that from the cover. She did the cover?
Yes, sure did.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I can see a Frank Miller kind of in the cover, yeah.
Yeah, very heavy Frank Miller influence, but yeah, absolutely love Danny's artwork. That's Dani, by the way.
Right.
But yeah, so this is kind of like a sideways. It's not a sequel or a prequel. It takes place within the first movie, but it also kind of gives us a little bit more background information on our good doctor. Basically finding out that he was a complete piece of garbage before he turned himself invisible. So like everybody thought, oh, he was just turned insane because of the chemicals. No, he was a piece of shit before that. So, And so this series kind of explores that a little bit, but it's great, creepy, good atmosphere, great tone in it. So it's like, yeah, we're off to a good start on this first issue. So I'm excited. Yep. Oh, and of course, as promised, I got you your Predator versus.
Oh yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I had to go through and like check out my Wolverine versus Predators again.
Yeah, because basically,
was a fun series.
Essentially, there was an event that happened in each of the miniseries: the Wolverine, the Black Panther, and the Spider-Man, that all led to this now. So, and if one of the major, like the Wolverine one and the Black Panther one are kind of interesting points, but the most major point is in the Spider-Man one. So if you haven't read it, I can tease it for you right now. The end of the series, Kraven goes with the Predators when they leave. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah, he leaves with the Yatja. They take him as one of their own. They give him like the blood circle thing on his forehead. Yeah. So that's how Predator Spider-Man ends. So yeah, this takes place several years, or maybe I think it's a few years later after the events of Predator Spider-Man. So
yeah, that's cool.
That's all I'm going to say from there. But yeah, the first issue pulls no punches. Like I said, it's amazing. So I can't wait for you to watch it. So, all right. Speaking of watching things here, I got some movie reviews before we get into your history of sound here. So basically, 3 of the films are currently streaming on Shudder, and then our last one is streaming on Hulu or Disney, whichever way you go, because Hulu's almost gone anyway, and it's just going to be absorbed into Disney Plus anyway. So Anyway, but streaming currently on Shudder. This goes back to 2015 here. This is a movie called The Devil's Candy that was directed by Sean Byrne. Stars Ethan Embry, who we remember as the last Rusty Griswold from Vegas Vacation. He was also in.
Oh yeah, I wondered what happened to him.
Yeah, that thing you do. Yeah, he's still working doing stuff. Yeah. So it's really cool because this is a very metal movie. Because he plays a painter. Of course, he's also married and is a father. He's got a young daughter, and it's basically like daughter like father because she's a young metalhead as well. So there's a lot of the music license on this movie must have cost more than most of the movie itself, I think, because they got some Metallica, old school Metallica stuff is in here. I can't remember who else. There's a lot of Metallica in the movie, but matter of fact, there's that flying V guitar there kind of comes into play because it's like, oh, that's like a kind of like Kirk Hammett plays or something like that. So but it's also a sort of a possession movie, kind of a little bit of kind of like a sideways Amityville horror sort of thing like that. But yeah, it's a small film, but it's a decent movie. Good cast, good performances in it. But yeah, if you want to see Ethan Embry play a metalhead. So
okay, I've always had a soft spot for him, and
I know, he seems like a nice guy. Good, I like the stuff he's been in. So yeah.
Did you ever see the Masters of Horror episode he was in?
Oh yeah.
Incident on and Off in Mountain Road. Coscarelli, Coscarelli directed it and Lansdale wrote it. Yeah. Oh
I was gonna say Don Coscarelli directed something and Joe Lansdale wrote it. Like, yes, please. I'll take 2, one for me, one for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, there's a couple of the Masters of Horror I skipped, but not that one. No.
Yeah. There's some of them that it was kind of like Deer Woman didn't hit very well for me, but it was it was like John Landis. He only really did
I still watched because it was John Landis movie, but
yeah.
And also, we're really stretching the truth of calling John Landis a master of horror. It's like you directed American Werewolf in London, which is a great movie, but it's also a horror comedy.
Right, yeah.
And that's the only...
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you got the Blues Brothers, and you got Vic Morrow killed on the Twilight Zone. That's what you got, John Landis.
Exactly. And yes, Doug Goss, I can guarantee flying V-related violence in Devil's Candy. Yes, sir.
This makes me want to do a whole episode around music-based movies, where you do this movie or Green Room or well, that was the only 2 that came into that.
Oh, dude. I wish I could have gone to this, but of course, it was a Saturday and I was working. And I was just too damn tired anyway. But also, I didn't want to travel 2 hours into Southern Indiana. But not the Georgetown Drive-In, but this is the Starlight Drive-In. That I think is in Shelbyville, Indiana, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not sure if you know Jay Sorrells or not, but good, longtime friend of mine, does a lot of promotion and stuff for them. He's, of course, he's a huge drive-in enthusiast or whatever else. But they
Yeah.
were doing their big. They do this towards the end of the summer, like the back to school, and they do like a horror marathon on a Saturday and a Sunday, right? So they do like 4 movies both days.
Yeah.
So the Saturday, one of the movies was Trick or Treat, as in like the metal Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
But also, freaking Skippy himself was there. I'm like, Mark Price was there, and I could have seen Trick or Treat in the drive-in. Like,
Oh damn, yeah.
why did I not go? But it's like, oh
Man,
yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, I love the Starlight. Like, the Starlight, like, is like on paper is great. Like,
Mm-hmm.
logistically, it's a nightmare for me because everyone is going, but they do these great events. Like, Joe Bob and Darcy were there like a year
Yep.
ago.
Yep.
They show great stuff all the time. But like, if you want to go, you got to line up at like 2 in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, because like usually like if you go to the Georgetown Drive-In in Georgetown, Indiana, it's like if showtime is like 9, you might want to start showing up around like 6:30 or 7.
Yeah,
Especially if it's like a big movie or during the summer if they're doing some of their special
they got a
events.
good double feature going. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah, and you ain't getting in after the first movie either because nobody really leaves.
no,
Like,
not really. Yeah,
it's the
not
drive-in should come back. It really should. There's a demand for it.
literally. I was talking with that a customer came in the shop today, and yeah, matter of fact, we had a really good day in the shop. We sold a very expensive book today. We had
Ooh.
Yeah, we had a pre-code horror book. It was a Blue Bolt Weird Tales comics. That was it was like issue 115, which is a very sought after cover. It's got like a skull face, well, like a woman with like blonde hair, but she's got like a skull face. It's just beautiful pre-code, just
Yeah.
glory. Yeah, that was like a $2,000 book,
Oh damn.
and it left the store today. But I was talking to that gentleman before he left and spent a whole bunch of money. But we were like talking about drive-ins and stuff like that, and growing up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I grew up in the New Albany drive-in. I was like, that was basically where I saw the majority of my movies, because parents didn't want to go to the theater, and it was cheaper to go to the drive-in.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's like, oh yeah, we really need a drive-in around here. It's like, yeah, we do. It's like E-Town's got the land, Hardin County's got the land for one. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of development, a lot of things going on, but like there's still a lot of other places like we could do some stuff here.
Absolutely.
Oh, Doug says, well, my lead suspect is KK Dowling with the flying V violence. Oh, God bless KK Dowling. And Atlanta used to have Drive Invasion on Labor Day weekends. Oh, that would be cool.
That
Yeah.
would be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, seeing as I keep forgetting it's Labor Day is never on my radar because
It's always like that time that I get a Monday off. Like, yeah.
and the shop's closed on Mondays anyway, so I'm already off. So it's like, what do
So yeah, it's just
what do I care? Yeah. But anywho, this Labor Day weekend, the 50th anniversary of Jaws is currently in theaters.
Ooh. And
And
I think the Toxic Avenger's out too.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I'm really interested in seeing that Caught Stealing movie, the one that's got the kid that played Elvis. Austin Butler is in it, but it's also directed by Darren Aronofsky.
I'm Aronofsky hits real weird for me. Like, Requiem for a Dream was the best movie I'll never watch again. But like,
This one is basically the trailer for this one. This is like the most. It seems like the most straightforward, like almost like Aronofsky was like a fill-in director for this movie. Like this because basically it takes place in the 90s. There's this Austin Butler plays this kind of like hapless dude who keeps getting caught up in like everybody's criminal schemes and stuff like that. But he's also like a really good baseball player. So that fits in as well.
yeah.
So it's got a whole bunch of people in it. It's kind of a nice ensemble kind of crime sort of thing like that. But it's like this seems like the least Aronofsky film that he ever did. Like even like the wrestler had a little bit of subversion to it, not much, but like this seems like the least Darren Aronofsky film ever. So I'm curious, like, is there going to be any weirdness to it, or is he just kind of like, is this when like him slumming it? I don't know.
Right. Now, see, like the other Darren Aronofsky movie that I weirdly appreciate is Noah, that Russell
Oh yeah,
Crowe movie. But that's just because like people were going in expecting it was going to be like Passion of the Christ 2.0, and he gives them like the weird, like biblically accurate version of the flood depiction with like the stone golems and shit. And like,
yeah,
yeah, he
yeah.
did do the thing where he made the ark look like a boat, though, which is horse shit. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
But
because the Hebrew word for ark actually just is box, and so it's like there's no description. So it's like there was nothing in there that would imply that it's a boat. So Ken Ham's full of
no,
shit with the
yeah,
Creation Museum.
it
It
was.
doesn't have a bow. Like
Yeah, no, it didn't look like a traditional ship. It was like it was
no,
meant to. They almost sealed themselves in a box.
right? That was the whole point. Yeah, it was just they were just buoyant to survive. Like that was so,
Exactly. Yeah, they
yeah
were just meant to basically keep themselves afloat.
yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Bands, movies, food trucks,
Food
car
trucks,
shows.
car show, and guests.
So, yeah, that sounds like a great time. Yeah, that the drive invasion. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and what was it? They've already announced for speaking of drive-ins for Joe Bob's last drive-in for I think the Halloween special.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think is that it? Say like his 200th episode for the last drive-in as
I
well.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I
that's
think
gonna
so.
be a big. Oh, Guar. Yes, what Guar showing up.
Oh yeah, because people are hoping that it's going to do like they're going to do Guar movies, like
Oh.
the Night of the Dawn of the Dead of the Living Bank or whatever the hell that movie was
Yeah, because
called.
they haven't
And,
announced what any of the movies are. They said there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on at the 200th episode. Guar showing up. You're right. They have not said any of the movies yet.
yeah.
So let's hope. So, Doug says, if you watch Requiem more than once, it is fantastic. What is wrong with you? Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding. It
It's
was,
it's like Schindler's List. Schindler's List is a great one-time movie, but I'd
yeah,
never want to see that movie again.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Requiem for a Dream even has a famous scene that 16-year-old me should have loved to keep on repeat, but yeah, no.
it's not. Yeah, it's like we get some great full-blown nudity, but it's not the nice way. So
Yeah,
it's
it
like
makes you feel weird and dirty.
yeah, it's
Like yeah,
sad. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it's not sexual. It's sad.
No, it's real sad. Yeah.
Oh, V says, since Seth said Aronofsky hits weirdly for him, your quick fanatic opinions on The Fountain and The Wrestler. I have not seen The Fountain, so I have no opinion on that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I love The Wrestler.
I also did not see The Fountain. Not a fan of The Wrestler.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I saw The Wrestler the first time when it was the Jake the Snake part of Beyond the Mat. And congratulations, Aronofsky. You can plagiarize like a motherfucker. I kind of go along with the Cornette take on it that apparently the only way that you can retire comfortably from wrestling is to run a used car lot in Minnesota. It's like there's just way too much negativity portrayed in wrestling in that movie to me. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't shine a great light on the business itself. Absolutely not.
Yeah. And not to
but
say that the business not to say that it's not a dark business. It absolutely is.
yeah,
But just like, I didn't care for it.
yeah. So let's see. There you go. So a like and a not like. So there you go.
Yeah.
A half and half. All right. Basically, going back to some more movies here. Also streaming on Shudder here. This was a ton of fun here. Getaway, directed by Stefan Hars, written by Nick Frost, and of course starring Nick Frost here.
Okay.
A British family is going on basically a weekend holiday to this little island in Sweden. And of course, what they don't know is essentially they're kind of walking into somewhere between a Midsummer and a Wicker Man sort of situation. And so everybody's trying to warn them, oh, you shouldn't be going to the island, especially not this time because of this. Like, oh, what's going on here? But like no one will tell them why. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like everybody's saying, don't go there. Why shouldn't we go there? We can't tell you that. But either way, yeah. So, but of course, along the way, kind of building up, there's starting some mayhem and murder. Things happen. But there is a great twist in the third act. I do not want to spoil, but it turns the film on its head and just absolutely loved it. So,
Okay.
yeah, highly Yeah,
You had me at Nick Frost on this one, so
yeah, highly recommend this. It's streaming on Shudder currently. It came out last year. Yeah, check it out. 100%.
cool. Nick Frost is a very highly underrated writer, I think.
Yes, he is. So yeah, this definitely has him all over it. Why people aren't talking more about Getaway? They should. So there you go. Uh, Oh yeah, basically. I mean, also every racial, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, from the 70s and 80s wrestlers, yeah, a lot of those guys have not aged well, and it's because the business took a lot of that out of them.
Yeah,
And also drugs and alcohol. Yeah, yes.
but hey, Necro Butcher got a payday, so I ain't gonna be mad at him for that.
Yeah, Necro Butcher got to be in a movie, so that's not only get a payday, he got to be in a movie and have like speaking lines with the star of the movie. So it's like not too shabby. Get Necro Butcher in there. So there you go. Next one, also streaming currently on Shudder here, came out last year. This is Azrael. This stars Samara Weaving, who the more I see her in stuff, the more I dig her. She was in the 2 cheerleader movies that were on Netflix. She is in Ready or Not, which that's the ones the bride, gets married and the family runs like a gaming empire, and they are basically playing a murderous game of hide and seek on the wedding night, sort of thing like that. So I love her movies. I love her performances and portrayals and stuff in this one here. This is directed by E.L. Katz.
Let me guess this one, though, real quick. This is where she goes to Gotham and takes over the mantle of the Bat to fight Bane after Bane broke Batman's back, right?
Way off. I like the attempt, though. No, this basically a very interesting film because there's not a lot of spoken dialogue in this film. Because the lead character, the Samara Weaving plays, and named Azrael, she belongs to a religious cult that lives kind of out in the woods that believes the rapture has already happened and they were not taken, and so as to kind of, I guess, pay for their own sins, whatever else, they cut their own vocal cords, so no one speaks in the entire cult. So literally, like, there's one time, like, a person comes along in the movie that's not a part of the cult, and we get a person speaking. Other than that, there's like clicks and whistles and stuff like that, other forms of communication, but no spoken dialogue whatsoever. But basically, Azrael and her male companion are trying to escape the cult. They do not succeed initially, and so it's kind of the rest of it of her basically trying to escape, and then this kind of turns into a revenge film. And then, of course, there is some supernatural angle in this. That sort of gets introduced, and basically stuff kind of goes pear-shaped from there. But very dark, very atmospheric, but a very cool flick. Definitely worth checking out. This came, like I said, came out last year in theaters. The trailer looked cool, and I wanted to check it out, but I missed it. And again, kind of a nice little gem that people need to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. A couple more comments here. Oh yeah, wrestlers are not aged at all. Oh yeah, that's right. Also, Ernest the Cat Miller was in the movie too. He got a payday. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Somebody call my mama. But of course, that's not the character he played. But oh yeah, I love Ernest the Cat Miller.
Yeah.
And our last movie to talk about here, this one's very recent because this came out earlier this year. This is the Osgood Perkins adaptation of Stephen King's The Monkey.
I was wondering how this was going to say. Yeah, okay. Yeah, what do you think about this one?
Dude, this is a shitload of fun. I haven't laughed this hard at a horror movie in a long time. But the Final Destination guys had to have been inspired by this short story. Because Stephen King wrote this. This is part of the Graveyard Shift collection of short stories. So King wrote this back in the 80s. So this had to have been an inspiration for Final Destination. But basically, this toy monkey, as we see here, one of those little weird drumming monkeys, is inherited, so to speak, by different people. And if you wind him up, bad things happen to people, but it's not necessarily to the intended target. If you want to, specifically, I hate this guy, kill him for me, wind it up, and then basically, the guy's girlfriend gets killed, or your mother gets killed, or, some kind of, person who's not involved, but murder will happen. But
Yeah.
the way it happens, everything looks accidental. Like, sure, people are accidentally harpooned, or uh, or just there are some crazy kills in this movie. It's all meant to be hilarious. It is funny. Yeah, this is probably Osgood's most accessible movie he's done. And
Okay.
actually, he does play a small role in it himself. And of course, this is produced by James Wan. So that's why you've got like three nice powerhouses of horror doing this movie together. But yeah, it
Yeah.
is a shitload of fun. Currently streaming on Hulu or, like I said, or Disney Plus, whichever one you subscribe to. But yeah,
Okay.
highly recommend that. But yeah, of course, a lot of good actors in this one as well. Basic work, but there's a pair of essentially twins that are involved in this movie. So one actor essentially, when they're children, it's two different actors, but then apparently when they grow up, they look the same. So the adult version is played by one actor. So whatever.
Okay.
So, but yeah, definitely recommend checking that out. Yeah, if you want some just good bloody fun, check it out.
That's yeah.
All right, sir. Well, it is your time now. Enough for me talking and bullshitting here. We got to get into the effed up history of
Of
sound.
sound.
Or,
Yeah.
or as our friends Anthrax would say, this is a journey into sound.
A wonderful album. Yes.
Yep.
So now this started because, like I said at the top of the show, I was really trying to get into the whole idea of lossless music because, like this. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Metallica's Death Magnetic album that came out in 2015,
Mhm.
it was a huge victim of the loudness wars, which at the time was where they master CDs to a point where the sound is just way too loud that it needs to be, to the point where you can audibly hear clipping and audio distortions and things like that. It was a horribly mastered CD. And around like, or no, the 2015 was the remaster. I think the disc came out in 2010
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. But it came out again, or it came out and they mixed it back down to where it sounded better. But you can only find it on Metallica's website and through Apple Music. So I talked about it before, going through Apple Music to try and listen to this album, like actually where it did not cause me physical pain. Because for some reason, like my ears are so sensitive with like clipping and everything, like I can hear a lot of that stuff, and it just
Oh yeah.
drives me nuts. Yeah, and you can, if you've got decent audio equipment, like a decent pair of headphones or something like that, you can really hear the differences in files, like in like sound files. Like 128 kilobit MP3 is going to sound significantly different from a 192, a 256, or a 320,
Yep.
but they're still going to sound like MP3s, right? Like you
Exactly.
can still tell. Yeah, that's the kicker. But anyway, with his Metallica album, I couldn't, like, it was still too low. I still never got to hear like a good version of it, right?
Right.
So that got me into this whole thing of like just trying to find like more like differences between FLAC and MP3, and then how CD plays audio digitally. And of course, getting like my new sound bar downstairs and everything, basically making my own new hi-fi system with the Xbox and busting out like my old CDs and everything.
Yeah.
I
That
was
was
listening to the CDs to the soundbar and realizing how much better they sounded than anything that I was streaming.
hmm
No matter the quality, right? And of course, like it was one of those things where it's like if you didn't notice, like if you didn't think to pay attention to it, you would never really notice. But like once you started to like really hear like things like on some like with a soundbar now, on some of the stuff you can hear like the sound of the drum heads vibrating, and it's like stuff that you miss on cheap headphones or things like that.
Nice.
So like it started to really think like, and then of course there's the debate online about like what people can and can't hear in regards to, the sound frequencies between 320 kilobit MP3s, FLAC files, which are lossless audio, like straight CD rips.
Right.
George is an audio guy too, so it's like I know you know what I'm talking about. Like there's
Yep.
a difference between there's a difference between the sound of something that's on magnetic recording tape, like a cassette or 8-track or reel to reel,
Yep.
versus CD versus vinyl.
hmm
Versus vinyl is another thing we're going to cover too, because people like to try and get around the whole idea of vinyl having a pure analog sound, Well, like at some point, there is a digital conversion in there between like
Mhm.
going from the audio conversion to actually record it to the vinyl. There is a digital conversion. There's only one rig in the entire world that can master a record and completely analog. And it costs like apparently like $15,000 an hour to use, and no one does it. They just do it the cheap way, to put it on there. So you can get different masters on vinyl and everything, but it's really like about the different formats. But then
Mhm.
you start to think about like what vinyl even is in the first place, and it's just we're recording grooves into a record or to something that can vibrate at a certain frequency when it's spun
Right.
to really start to emit noise. And you could do this with like vinyl, you can do it with wax. Like wax cylinders were like a very early point of hearing sound. And then like you start to realize how important sound is that we actually take for granted, because right now we're bombarded with sound everywhere. there's
Oh,
there's
yeah.
like there's the hum of a refrigerator, there's like the air conditioner going or a fan going, all the stuff that you just tune out that you can focus on. But back in the day, they didn't have all this stuff. Like they didn't have all this noise pollution out there. Things were a lot quieter.
Mhm.
Things were like sound was very, very different. And then going back and researching a lot of this, realizing that okay, in regards, and this is coming from Robert Evans' book, A Brief History of Vice, right? And there
Oh,
he does
nice.
this entire chapter about how music was technically the first drug, because we have musical instruments dating back 40,000 years.
Mhm.
And the earliest that we have evidence of people even brewing beer or alcohol as an intoxicant is
Mhm.
13,000 years ago.
Hmm.
So we had been playing music. We had figured out music feels good
Right.
a lot longer than drinking feels good, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and of course, like anybody who listens to music can attest to this. Like, how it like you seek out music that you want to listen to because it makes you feel good. Like it changes it changes your mood. Your like, sometimes you want to focus more on the mood, but it's like there is a physiological change when
Yeah.
you find music that you enjoy.
Yeah. Well, they
And
say music soothes the savage beast, but
right,
yeah.
music is yeah, that's exactly it. There's instances of people using the okay, this is going to sound weird. There's a case of a guy who couldn't be put under anesthesia to undergo open heart surgery, so they had to play Mozart, and it helped. Now the dude was like, still, I would have rather been knocked the fuck out, but like the music did, at least it gave him something to focus on, so he wasn't focused on his chest being open. But yeah,
Oh
but
my god.
it's things like this. And then so people our ancient people are figure out like how acoustics work and everything, and of course they had no technology like we do either, right?
Mhm.
So there's they have to figure out natural ways to do things. And or so it's like you think of an old church, right? Like the
Yeah.
huge thing. I'm going to throw up a picture here real quick. uh just love like and I'm not exactly sure which place this is, but it's just an example. Share screen, there it is. I always forget which one it is, but yeah. So something like this, like where people would congregate, after it was
Ooh.
built, and then think of how the sound would move into this. I
Mhm.
think of how like one person in the center there could speak and have their voice amplified
Yeah.
all through the place, and because sound has waves, sound has mass. Sound is technically a substance, and because sound waves contain mass, and mass is atoms. So it's like you
So,
could
yeah.
argue that music is a drug.
Ooh.
By that logic. And so people who were building things, to amplify sound, to do like caves were built, the
Right.
way we
Yeah.
carve out caves,
Yeah.
infrasound. I even talked about that once before too. Infrasound is a very low frequency sound that we do not perceive. We couldn't hear it on our own, but something in our lizard brains, triggers it, because that was one of the things that we had to learn how to do to like acknowledge like, hey, this cave might collapse and we'll die.
Yeah.
It's like a survival instinct. So it's like our brain is tuned to sound that ways that we've forgotten about.
Or just
And
we can't perceive it, consciously, but it's a subconscious thing. Just kind of like you're almost like your danger sixth sense sort of thing like that.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Now have you also heard about the teenager frequency that teenagers can hear that adults cannot hear?
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a specific frequency that younger minds or younger ears are more attuned to hear, and businesses will actually play this sound through their loudspeaker to get kids to not congregate. in places like where they want to run them off, and adults cannot hear this. They you know, it means nothing to them. So it's like they, you know, they get to run off the riffraff, so to speak, the unwanted children element. Mostly used in places like England and Japan. I think some places in the States have started to do it too.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, there's.
Of course, there was the thing was a few years back where you had like there was like a clip on the internet where basically you heard like some people heard one word like Yanni and some people heard another word entirely, and so it was just based on what kind of frequency you were hearing it at.
Yeah, yeah, and it really kind of, that brings me to the next point actually, because we no one can say objectively what a sound experience is. Right, because you're going to hear something different than I'm going to hear it. Just, you know, just from nature of like we could be standing shoulder to shoulder and we'll have two different hearing experiences.
Sure.
Number one, because how our own ears are tuned in general. You might hear better than I do. I might hear better than you do. You know, it's like depending on which side we're on. You know, that changes how the thing. Like we cannot occupy the same space and hear the same thing. You know, it just can't work. So like that's what the arguments to me about people are saying that you can't hear one thing versus the other. It's irrelevant because again, no one can tell. You know what, you know, you can kind of have a good idea, but no one can absolutely say one way or another. There's tests online that you could even take to try and differentiate the sounds between the different qualities of MP3s. NPR has a great test with like pop music and everything. Like yeah, with like 6 out of 6 samples, like I can identify a FLAC 4 out of 6 times. Yeah, which is both a blessing and a curse because it's like if like you just want to hear stuff, then yeah.
Yeah,
but
and see me on the other hand, it's like I've last couple of years I've developed a low level of tinnitus. You know, it's not too bad, but I've got a constant ringing in my ears that I hear, and sometimes like if my blood pressure's up, if I'm doing something or whatever else, it gets a little stronger. So you know, so I basically when I sleep at night, I sleep with a rain machine. So
yeah, you got just something to diffuse it. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. I got a question here before you get to your next topic.
Absolutely.
Here from Doug here. Curious about what they were doing on rock records in the mid to late 80s that made the sound so thin. And I know exactly what he's talking about. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, a lot of it, like rock records weren't necessarily given as much budget as other records too. So the recording equipment and the studio equipment was usually subpar. On those. So that was a lot of it. Now sometimes too, it was like a big thing was like with Kiss, for example, their first couple of albums were just completely flat sounding. And it wasn't until Alive that they really took off because they had a different sound live than what they did in the studio. And it was
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was just basically because like how it was mixed, how it was mastered, like the cheap like recording equipment. You had to have audio engineers at the time that like knew how to amplify the and make the cheap equipment sound as good as it could, or use workarounds to do it. Like that's why like audio engineers and like producers were like huge back in the day. Like it was a big deal that like you know like Warren Spector. Or no, was it Phil Spector? The
Phil
crazy,
Phil
the crazy one that held the gun on the Ramones. Yeah, I mean, he was a genius with audio, but you know, he could make a lot out of nothing.
Well, but, the irony too about the especially the first Kiss record, I think also Dress a Kill was this one as well. Those were produced and mixed by Eddie Kramer. Eddie Kramer from Electric Ladyland, who produced Jimi Hendrix. So on the other hand, though, what we found out in more modern years is that Kiss Alive is very far from a live record. It's been tweaked all to hell. And also we thought this was only held in like 1 or 2 locations. It's basically like a combination of like 3 different recordings. So
that was one thing that always got me when I was first really kind of getting into live albums, was finding out that like very few of them are actually just one concert recorded front to back. Like a lot of them are just like the best, like they recorded multiple shows and took the best versions of the songs and just spliced them all together to sound good. Going back to another thing with Doug's talking about though, big thing with Motown in the 60s and 70s too. They were a part of the getting records to sound hot, which was basically pumping the sound up again. And because on a jukebox, like you wanted like a jukebox in the middle of like, you know, whatever kind of honky tonk or whatever, you wanted the music to be loud and you wanted it to be noticeable. You wanted people to play your stuff more so that you could get more money off of it. And the louder sounding records got more money. than the not loud records. So it's like country music, rock music. They kind of took a back seat to a lot of like a more heavier produced sound too.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that answers your question, Doug, but
Well, and I think also you get a little bit because Doug kind of touches on this one here in his next comment, talking about this is kind of before you get our next generation of rock star producers, like kind of like in the 19, basically like the mid to late 80s. And like I said, I know kind of what he's talking about. Also, there was a bit of change in technology, so it wasn't quite digital, but it was kind of that halfway point of digital and analog
yeah,
that we were getting into in the 80s before CDs came around and we actually had our digital stuff and transferring there. Because, you will definitely notice a lot of very early CDs of older albums that were released. The quality on them is really low.
yeah.
And it's not a good transfer. It's because kind of the equipment that they were using was some newer technology and it wasn't necessarily better.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was the growing pains of a new technology format
mhm.
the transition too, because it was a lot. You saw a lot of it when DVD started to come into play too.
Mhm.
At first, a lot of companies making DVDs were basically just trying to reuse Laserdisc rips
Yeah.
and put them onto a disc, and they just didn't. It didn't work out too well, just because one going from an analog format to a digital format.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
and another common thing too that was started to be used because basically basically in the recording studio when they were using master tapes, traditionally it was all analog reel to reel kind of stuff, and
right.
then you started to get what they called the hard decks, which are basically like they look like the giant like 8 tracks, and it was a style of magnetic tape, but it was a different kind of magnetic. So it was better than like the cassettes you could buy out in stores, but it was not as good as analog. So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking. That's what Doug's looking for, and what we're talking about is basically those what they call the hard decks. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, and so radio basically they were using those to record on. Radio stations started basically putting like multiple songs on there when like DJs want to take a break or something like that, or like they're going to be away. So it was kind of like I said, it was a bit of the kind of the transition, the middle part before we went completely digital, but it was still a little bit analog. But yeah, it was like I forget whether it's this type of magnetic tape, but it's kind of like a high end or high master, or I forget what there's a certain brand, there's a
Yeah.
certain title for it.
I know there's like a weird delegation. Like if you really want to break down to the nitty gritty of magnetic recording tape, there's so many different grades of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the cassette, like a lot of when we were kids, we would just pick up a cassette tape and dub it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't care if it was metal or like what like there's a different setting for metal tapes versus like Dolby tapes that can handle something different. Like they all
Yep.
have different recording qualities. And we didn't give a shit about any of that. Like
Until you started getting hard in the weeds on making your own mixtapes, and you realized what brands had better quality of tapes.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, enough diversion. Please continue.
Yeah. No, actually, no. This does remind me that back in the Napster days, right? And like
Mhm.
when everybody's downloading their own music, and it drove me nuts. Brian, your cousin, my best friend at the time, like he would download every song that he could possibly think of in the lowest quality that he
Mhm.
could have, just because he could fit more onto his iPod, right? So like a
Mhm.
96 kilobit file is not going to take up as much as 128. They sounded awful though, and he wanted to blare them through his car stereo all the time, and it was just like this sounds like ass. Like I do not know. I would rather have 12 songs that sounded good versus 100 that sounded like crap. Like it was I could not stay. Like I do not know how the boy can hear now. Number one, like I do not get it. Like
I know. I've had similar discussions, not necessarily with Brian, but with other basically of course, there was, movie files always in the early days where you started getting like widescreen, actually like home releases, and the cinephiles were trying to preach how much better widescreen was than stupid pan and scan, and you couldn't get past the people who didn't understand were never going to understand it.
they just saw black on their TV and thought like that they were losing picture. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and didn't realize that it's Why dirt? Anywho, so the same thing goes with audio quality. There's going to be people who like they don't give a shit that whatever it is, as long as I can hear the notes of whatever the song is, it's fine. And there's people who care, and then there's people like Neil Young who basically released an entire digital format that was lossless audio, and no one bought it. Because it was a little too basically it was a little too expensive, but it was made for the audio nerds.
Yeah, it was made for the people like, and there's all kinds of stuff that you can get to like improve your audio experience. Like if you're an audiophile, like, down to like a specific rubber mat for your turntable or whatever. And like, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, and going back to what you were saying too, it's like, some people just don't care about quality. That's why Spotify is so popular. They like the quality is not the best. Like it's listenable, and it just depends on how much how much you care about that as to which service you want to go through. But
Spinal Tap benefited greatly from Dolby.
Yeah.
Oh,
but enough about that. What you want to hear most about, though, is now everyone is familiar with the idea of Stonehenge.
Yep.
And and I'm going to bring up another picture of what it looks like in its current state.
And thank you, Doug, for the natural transition of talking about Spinal Tap going into Stonehenge here.
Yes, actually, that's brilliant. Yeah. So this is what Stonehenge currently is. And it's like, it's obviously a monument, that's been around for roughly, I believe it was, according to the Brief History of Ice, around 3000 BCE was when they believe it was constructed, somewhere between 4000 and 3000. Obviously it's gone under a lot of like, it does not look like what it originally did, because it is in certain,
disrepair.
Disrepair. But one of the things, and number one too, preface this by saying that like whatever Stonehenge is, no one can really say that it's for one specific thing, but it does have very interesting properties, because a lot of the stone in there is a specific kind of stone that is not native to the area. It's the closest you can find it is about 200 miles away. And now this is a time before we had the wheel. So people had to get stones up here before we had the wheel. Okay. And that's how much of a big deal it was. So people use this. It was important to people.
Yes.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, this was not just supposed to be some kind of weird monument like this. I mean, we're talking like very rudimentary. Like if we're traveling across water, to get this, to get the stones here, very rudimentary ships, and like you said, before the invention of the wheel. So these were basically drug on carts or people or
like weird. Yeah, it was. However they built this thing is highly speculative, right? But and also too, it's like there's some people that there's a big theory that too it was like this big sacrificial altar place. Well, there's really no contemporary evidence to point to that direction that it was ever used as a place of sacrifice. But a crazy rich millionaire in Washington State decided that he was decided in the after World War I. That he was going to build a monument to all those who fell in World War I. And since Stonehenge was basically considered the site of an altar at one time, why not build a replica in Washington State? And it would be a monument to World War I as an altar to the people that have died there, or that had died in it. So they did a 1-to-1 replica of what Stonehenge looked like previously, which is... Oh, whoops. That was the wrong button. So now this is currently American Stonehenge in Washington State.
Oh, wow.
And you can see that a fully formed Stonehenge, the exact dimensions and everything. Now, this is made out of concrete and not the stone that was made out of there. But universities from Britain, several universities from around the world have actually used this as a 1-to-1 replica, because it has been coated with a material to give it like the same kind of properties of the stone in Stonehenge, so that it's the difference in acoustics is negligible. That what between actual, because also too, you like OG Stonehenge, you can't just start hitting it with sticks, right? People get mad if you start to do that. But they found out that if you do, that stone that is there, it starts to vibrate, right? So it vibrates, and it vibrates in certain ways that you can. They've done, or Robert Evans was part of a group again, and I keep saying Robert Evans. Like Robert Evans is probably one of the last few legit journalists that are around. Like he's a war correspondent, currently does the Behind the Bastards podcast, wrote several books, wrote for crack.com.
Not to be confused with movie producer Robert Evans, who is basically
right.
The crazed, the man who stays in the pictures or kid stays in the pictures.
Right. Yeah. But but what universities have also found too in Robert Evans groups is that if you basically you can operate this like a giant glockenspiel, right? Like a big xylophone. And with different people play, ideally you want a crew of about 200 people at different times hitting the stones in here at various things to get between. There's a range that you can get a 10 decibel frequency difference that can actually start to resonate in your head, and you can feel like it doesn't get you high, but you can feel it, right? And it gets into weird different acoustical territory depending on where your positioning is in there, like the intensity and everything. So like and it also changes depending on how many people you have in there too. So if you start there's all kinds of stuff written up about this, about like you can go online and find a bunch of papers written about like the acoustical properties and like what it sounds like at different various points. And that like someone inside, like you could, it really does good with like percussive hits and chanting and repetitive noise like that. Like it's almost like an ancient concert hall. With just how it resonates sound. And that is one way that it would have been used by people back in the day. It's just this big point. So like just think about that. Like, it's like you're in an area where it's like, you've got to farm to survive, or you got to, do something, but you've got like another place like Stonehenge where you can go, and basically that would be your entertainment. Is like, you could go there, and like that was how important sound was. And there's even argument too. It's like another you can't really see in here too. The outside walls are basically flat, right? But on the inside, they're actually kind of concave to help with the acoustics on some of the things. So it's like there's also a question as to how much you could hear outside of Stonehenge, how far the sound would carry.
Right, yeah.
Within the lands too. And so it's like that's something that really hadn't been able to have been studied, basically, because you can't like two different locations, like Washington State isn't, England. But but still it's like it gives you a good idea of what Stonehenge does or could do back in the day, which was really super fascinating. So imagine getting a metal band in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was gonna say, as Spinal Tap, told us, and Doug reminds us that there's where the demons dwell, and where the banshees also live, and they do live well. So there you go.
Yeah. And it leads to whole other speculations too. I mean, obviously we don't know much of anything, but we don't know how like the vibrations like go into the ground, how they affect like that kind of thing. Because like all of this, like sound waves, like they can change things. They can cause different levels in erosion. They could cause like underground waterways to like shift and move. And it's like sound is super important, and we just don't. We take it for granted.
Absolutely.
Like that's the FW history of sound.
Interesting. I see Doug's got another comment here. It says that basically Stonehenge stick hitting day was their drive-in invasion. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. Basically, what you were saying is basically, maybe there were certain ways they would hit it, and it would sort of like kind of stimulate the ground. So it could have been like some sort of a ceremony or a festival of like for the harvest or whatnot, or for planting or whatnot. It's like, hey, come up here and smack the stones here, and get the ground moving, for the
exactly.
So it could have, it was more of a concert hall and stimulating the ground or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, it was definitely, it's a significant pagan site. Like we do know that, like and it's just that. And again, like no one can really say that it was used for one specific thing, because obviously it probably wasn't.
Sure.
But yeah, it's it's just wild to me, like hearing stuff like that, and it's like just amazing how like there's all kinds of weird unknown stuff in the world that we just think we know a little bit about, but we haven't even scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, the mysteries of the ancient world. I mean, basically, yeah, Stonehenge could have been like the ancient community center, something like that. So it's like it was a multi-purpose place. It could have been used for just about anything. So
yeah, and that's not even to say things like stuff like the brown note. Have you ever heard of that?
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
the
the brown
brown.
note.
Yeah, it's supposedly an urban legend, but there's some people specific. I've heard anecdotes in the lowrider community that it is a very true thing. But the brown note is apparently a frequency of sound that you can hit with a really good sound system that'll make you poop yourself,
Yeah.
and that's
And of
why.
course,
Yeah,
season 1 of South Park. There was an episode where they basically they're doing the kids are playing recorders,
yeah,
and basically they're trying to hit the brown note.
yeah,
So
yeah,
but yeah, I could definitely see in the low rider community with the bass and having low frequencies there that basically you hit a high enough low frequency, you could probably make somebody crap their pants.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh man! So, well, this is, of course, a little bit shorter episode than we normally do here, but hey, so Seth is sounding like Lee Van Cleef right now here, so yeah.
yeah.
But
I need to give the vocal cords a little rest.
yeah, of
They're
course,
feeling a little fried.
because next week I'm going to put you on the spot here because we've been waiting for this effed up history. We've teased a little bit about it. You and I have talked about it off camera, but if you love your JFK conspiracies and your theories about how he was killed and things about that, you want to tune in next week because Seth's got a whopper.
Yeah, that's going to be the next week one because we're going to get into some. We're going to go over some of the more prominent theories. We're going to go over why they're kind of horse shit, and we're going to go over with what the Manhammer kind of thinks is actually what the evidence points more towards.
And you and I have discussed this theory off camera. You've told me in detail, and I you know what? Consider me a believer. So so I'm looking forward to this episode. I know TDV. He has been looking forward to this episode, and his fine lady who enjoys her JFK conspiracy stuff too. So I know we got some people in the queue that are looking forward to this one here. So I am too. But so we will definitely be talking about that and whatever else we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, we'll talk about all kinds of stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah. By the way, have you checked out the Alien series that's on Hulu?
I have watched the first 2 episodes. I need to watch the next 2.
Do.
Yeah, it's so good so far though.
Episode 4 is really cool. There's some nice kind of revelations and some more creature shit. So yeah, episode 4 is cool.
I'm a guy like I hate the week to week watching, so I like to try and build up a couple. Yeah. And so that I can watch them all at once. Like I'm a big fan of dropping them all at once. I hate the idea of paying for streaming and then like, oh, you want to watch something, pay 3 months and you'll get the whole season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Peacock did us a solid because basically when they drop series, it's the whole thing. And so like the new season of Twisted Metal, the whole thing drops. So I'm halfway through that, and it's so far so good too.
Okay, I need to watch that again. I haven't. Man, it's like I've watched stuff, but it's like I watched like the Snyder Justice League again. I got a wild hair at my butt to watch that.
Why not?
Yeah, and it's like I'm still a fan of that. I watched Superman again, the James Gunn one. That one, yeah, I was really pleased on that. I need to watch The Naked Gun. I keep hearing a lot of good things about it.
Yeah. Naked Gun definitely got a thumbs up from me. 100%. Oh, and Doug is also now looking forward to the JFK episode now too.
Nice, thank you.
So, all right, folks. Well, that is going to be it for us. Of course, we got to let Seth rest up here, and of course, he's got to rest up his vocal cords for Sunday because the boys are getting together and doing some more Black Sword hack. So,
yep, we're going to find out where our campaign ends. The last time, all the fellas are on a giant piece of crashing mountain.
Yeah,
and, I want to see how they get out of this because I'm going to tell you a little inside baseball. This is one of them things where it's like, you know what? This is one of them scenarios. I got no plan on to how y'all get out. I want to see how y'all do it.
Well, I mean, Mac is basically just going to say, well, it's like when the elevators crash. You just got to jump at the right time when it hits. So that's going to be my solution. Spoiler.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you're looking forward to that. Get to hang out with the boys in person. That's always a great time here.
Yes,
And of course, we'll
yeah.
get to hang out with you guys next Friday as well here. And of course, don't skip out if you guys have not checked out Smokes and Road Beers, my boys' podcast over here on Rumble and Facebook Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. And of course, now that Miss Desiree, who's been on the forum as well, now that she's a permanent fixture on there, it's nice having a third voice on there. So y'all had a good episode last night.
Thank you. Yeah, she started. She's got an Instagram set up for us. I have an Instagram account now, but I'm not using. I've deleted the app off my phone. I ain't touching that shit. It's like, so you can find me, you can follow me. I'm never gonna use it or talk to you. So I hate social media with a fiery passion.
I know. So see, that's one of the main reasons to get Diz on there. But yeah, of course, you guys were talking about the whole thing that happened with the Knox Pro Wrestling.
Oh yeah, Raja Jackson and Psycho Stu and Knox Pro. Yeah,
that's a complete shit show, and it's like you know. Of course, I mean, you guys were talking about this, but I'm not sure if you heard the further developments. Basically, that that the company itself was run by one of I think it was either Rikishi or one of Rikishi's kids.
I think it was Rikishi's brother, was what I understood.
Yeah. Basically, but yes, it's within the NOI family. So that's why basically they probably had a WWE ID contract. That's gone. And some of the people who were involved in this situation also had ID contracts. Those are gone. And many of the wrestlers who were part of this organization have either left or they've drank the Kool-Aid and they're not talking to the cops.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, that whole thing's been wild. And why Raja Jackson has not been arrested yet, I do not know.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, it's like this dude attempted murder, and we saw it all. We saw the entire premeditation. The should I or shouldn't I? I should. It's literally entirely all documented.
Yeah. What level of assault should I commit on the man? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, of course, a new episode of Coronet. I think it was the drive-through. Yeah, I think it's the drive-through. That came out today. And of course, they're going to talk about it, and Corny's got a lot to say about it. And of course, if you know Corny, you pretty much know what he's going to say about it.
Yep.
So yeah, and of course, I agree with him. It was just garbage wrestling. Apparently a garbage promotion, and why the entire course of events happened is one bad decision after another.
Yeah.
So, whew. Fun stuff. But yeah, so they talk about that extensively on last night's episode of Smokes and Road Beers podcast, so you could check that out. And then, literally live stream the premeditation out loud, 100%, Doug, 100%. Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, so they talk about that on Smokes and Road Beers last night. Of course, they talk about all kinds of stuff here. So they talk about a little more grown-up topics sometimes that we do, but then sometimes they don't. So it's but definitely a pop culture podcast you need to check out if you haven't, and support my boy over here. So
thank you.
Anywho, you guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and especially it's a Labor Day weekend. Go see Jaws. Go see Toxic Avenger.
Yes, so, enjoy your extra day off if you get it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, we're going to leave you with a message from our friends from Comic Books for Kids. But otherwise, you all have yourselves a good time, and we will see you next time on the Fanatic Forum. TTFN.
My name is Mark Weiss, and I am the founder and president of an organization called Comic Books for Kids. 6 years ago this month, we embarked on a journey of passion and heart. Our goal was to make a difference for children in hospitals and cancer centers. Little could we have ever imagined the response we have now. Starting with just hopes and dreams, we had no money for our mission. We had no product to give to the hospitals, and we had only called a couple hospitals and asked them, if we were to provide you with comic books, would you be interested? And they said yes. So we embarked on a 1-year journey to make a difference for these kids. We realized that even though we can't take away the reason these children are in hospitals, we can perhaps, while they are there, let them fly like a superhero, be princes and princesses, and embark on a mystical and magical journey to take them away from where they are in that hospital bed. Today, and thanks to your support, we are thrilled to say that we are now the largest charity in the U.S., supporting well over 200 hospitals in all 50 states for not only comic books, but for other pop culture items like Funko Pops, action figures, coloring books, Spanish bilingual items, backpacks, and more. When we received materials that were inappropriate for the young ones, we started a sister charity called Comic Book for Troops, and overnight, we became the largest charity in the U.S. for these same items to all branches of the military. We want to thank our friends for providing us their support and for allowing us the means to make so many happy with their gracious give to us.